All right, hello and welcome to episode 4 of Gold Rush, exclusive on YouTube on the JTR Podcast Network. This is Mark Redman coming to you from the Noodles position in Champaign, Illinois, and joined by my buddy Jabari Sinclair. Bari, we've been trying to get this one in for a while, man. It's
Yeah, man. Listen, right. I had a road trip 2 weeks ago, and then last week we had the big storm that knocked out the internet in your place. So
yeah.
here we go.
Basically, from Thursday through Monday, I had no internet, so it kind of threw a
Yee,
monkey wrench in everything. For those that aren't
right.
in the Midwest and didn't hear about the big storms out here, but you know how it is. You gotta play through it. So we wanted to get this one in because this is one of both of our favorite subjects to talk about, Bari, and that's ECW. Uh, we're both in that age demographic. We're both in our early 40s. So when we were teenagers, that was the big deal going around was ECW.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna preface this because the belt that we're gonna talk about is not my favorite version of this championship. Because my favorite one's actually the one that was right before this, the Raven Terry Funk belt. It looked like a it was like the classic, it was like their version of a big gold almost,
Yeah, yeah.
like 97 through 98. But
I
this
think
one,
maybe.
what's that?
Go ahead. Go
I was
ahead.
gonna say, I'll say the belt we're gonna talk about here, the 99 through 01 slash asterisk 06 through 2010, is the design of it, and I'm gonna throw it up here. I think this one, as good as the one before this was, this one I think best represented ECW as far as the vibe and like the look and everything like that. Just it's got the along with having the logo in purple, which is we'll get into that too because it was purple originally. Then when Vince got a hold of it, they made it red. But like the
hmm
font of the heavyweight wrestling in the middle of it, and then just all over the place. It looks like it. At the risk of referencing outlaw mud shows that some people talk about, this looks like an extreme promotion championship belt if you're thinking about it.
Exactly. Like it looked like somebody just took it and said, you know what, this is for an extreme promotion, so let's just throw some shit on it and see how it
Yeah,
looks.
and I'm not going to say that WCW blatantly ripped this belt off when they made their hardcore championship, but
Right.
it was really close.
Real close.
The
They're
plate was
definitely in the
bigger.
same. Yeah, and they're definitely in the same family. But
Well,
yeah.
yeah, well, some of the same guys held it. You know, Shane Douglas, awesome, all those guys. But when did you first? Just to get a little background, Barry. When did you first watch ECW?
My first real exposure to ECW, I'm gonna say it was right when Taz won the championship from Shane Douglas.
Okay.
They were it was I can't remember what channel it was on, but they were on late night, like 2 o'clock in the morning on Thursdays,
Mm,
and I would watch it then, and I kind of was like, this is good. It's not WCW WWF quality, but it's good, you know.
yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I would watch what I could, and then I had a friend who had satellite, and
Oh,
right, so they had access to all types of stuff, and
nice.
they would record the shows and pay per views, and I ended up getting borrowing tapes, and that's how I got into it. And then
Nice.
I want to say the fall of '99, they were on TNN.
Yeah, they started in August of '99 on TNN.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I was watching those weekly shows as well. So, yeah, that was my
Mm.
first real exposure to ECW.
Yeah, it's similar. I used to read the PWI all the time when I was in
Okay, yeah, and yeah, the
back when I was
magazines
in
as
middle school.
well.
So I would read about ECW all the time, but I didn't get the channels. I didn't We didn't have the reach to get like the MSG or whatever East Coast channels ECW was on. But I would read about Taz and Dreamer and Raven and all these guys. So I didn't actually get to really start watching until uh same deal. I had a friend that would record the pay-per-views. So I would it was around 99. Guilty as Charged was actually the first one that I saw, which is the one where Taz beat Douglas. And then whenever my buddies would record the pay-per-view, I'd borrow the tape and I'd watch it. And then like you said, when ECW got on TNN, then we actually had access to it and we could watch it. It wasn't quite as gritty on TNN as it was like the original Hardcore TV was,
Right.
but but it was really good. Actually, I vividly remember the first episode that I saw because I didn't watch. I worked a schedule where I was working till 9 o'clock on Fridays, so I didn't. Sometimes I'd miss it. But the first one I remember watching was after Raven had come back, and they were building to November to Remember, and it was when Sandman showed up when he made his return from WCW, and it was
Ah,
going to be
yeah,
Raven, Dreamer, and Sandman against the Impact players and Rhino. And I didn't know shit
yeah.
about Rhino. He was still a quote unquote rookie at the time.
Rookie.
So I
Yep.
was so I got to learn about some of these guys that I hadn't seen. I didn't realize that Just Incredible was Aldo Montoya in 1995, and I'd never seen him at
Exactly.
Storm. But I knew Raven and I knew Dreamer and I knew Sandman. Number one, Raven and Sandman, obviously from WCW because they were there right before that. But also still reading about him in the magazines and then Dreamer in the magazines. I had the PWI centerfold of Dreamer, Kimona, and Beulah up on my wall in my bedroom when I was in high school, which took some explaining to my mother.
Right, exactly. Classic though.
But I
Classic.
classic, yes. Uh, well, let's get back to the belt a little bit now that we kind of dug a little bit into our love of ECW. So we talked about the main plate, the fonts, and everything like that. The side plates were identical on both sides.
Hmm.
Again, they really played up the hardcore wrestling aspect. They put it. They didn't have that on the previous belt. So they put the ECW logo, they got the planet on the other plate, and then hardcore wrestling. They put that phrase all over this belt. So it's just Paul in branding is he's kind of a genius at that, you know.
Exactly. And I mean, you know what you're going to get whenever you see the belt. So,
Or if you just watch that opening video at the start of every TV when they play the music and then they'd have the clips. That was so cool how they used to do that.
yeah, it was.
Oh, man, it makes you wonder if Paul was a more savvy businessman, if they would have actually been able to keep that going on TNN, and they maybe TNN doesn't get Monday Night Raw, or even if Paul could have gotten onto another TV for the end of the run in '01. Because
Yeah.
I mean they weren't losing viewers, they weren't losing fans, and they were still making money on merchandise and buy rates on pay-per-views. So conceivably they could have been successful. It's just all the red tape got in the way. So they had to sell
Exactly.
to I think they sold to Vince, right? Or did they just go bankrupt? I can't ever remember the situation
I
there.
want to say I want to say Paul sold it to Vince
Okay.
in
Because
'01, I
I
think.
know this. Okay, because I know the story goes that Vince was helping finance ECW a little bit in the late '90s. It kind of is a feeder system because they would bring some of their ECW guys into WWE. Obviously, Dudley's and Taz are the biggest ones, but you would see guys come in and do things here and there, especially on like a Shotgun Saturday Night, you know. But
Yeah, yeah, you would.
let's get into just some history. I believe this belt debuted in December of '98 because I think it
Yeah,
was because it was in the build up. I used to always think that it debuted at Guilty as Charged, but it was in the build up, like the during the when Taz took Sabu out and all that. Shane had that belt during the TVs during the build up to that. So I think it was
exactly.
December of
Yeah,
'98.
I want to say I want to say that belt debuted right shortly after he regained it from. I can't remember who he regained it from.
Well, no, he had it. He beat Bigelow for it in '97, and he held it for a good year.
Yeah.
But he
Okay.
was
Yeah,
hurt
that was his. Yeah.
I think it
Yeah,
was
that
after
was.
he came back from his elbow injury. I think is when they debuted the belt.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, because he had held the belt for like over 400 days or something like that because he had that
Yeah,
broken forearm. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
It was like he had all kinds of injuries in mid '98. This the match he had with Al Snow at WrestlePalooza when he came in. He had like the broken uh, elbow, the fractured cheekbone, deviated septum, all kinds of. They really played it up in
Exactly.
the on the commentary that he was the walking wounded in that match. But that is honestly one of my favorite ECW matches is that Douglas House Snow match from WrestlePalooza '98. For those that have Peacock, I definitely recommend it. So, uh, but yeah, so as we said, Shane Douglas was the first guy to hold this belt. The last guy, again, asterisk. I believe it was the world's strongest man, Mark Henry, in
Mark Henry.
uh,
Yep.
2000. Was it 2009 when they retired the belt?
Yeah. 2009 Night of Champions was the last time.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they brought in the big platinum belt. That
That monstrosity.
oh man, I mean, if it wasn't an ECW belt, I would have been okay with it because the shape was all right, but it wasn't the same. All us
But I
diehards.
mean, what right? What about that championship screamed ECW? Please tell me one thing that screamed ECW about that championship. It was
It's
terrible.
it screams WWECW.
Exactly.
They
Oh,
wanted a shiny
even
belt. They
yeah. Even now, when I see a replica for sale, I'm like, I wouldn't buy that damn thing if it was $2.
no, it was not my favorite. It
No,
always
no,
bothered me that they never brought back the TV title or the tag titles when they were doing that WWECW too, because they just
exactly.
had the one belt, and that's just yeah, you got to give some of these guys something to work for. But
But maybe
that's
right, maybe had they gave the rebranded ECW a bigger push, that could have happened. But they really didn't
that's
give a
true.
crap about it. They was just like,
Yeah,
oh hey, we got this other brand. Let's do this for a little bit and see what
right,
happens.
right.
Let's throw it against the wall and see if it sticks.
Yes. As far as there was an angle in 2006 in TNA. Well, an angle was a promo, but right around the time of the second One Night Stand, Rhino came on TV in TNA and had the fabled velvet satchel that you would carry your belts in, and he held it up and he said he had the ECW heavyweight and TV titles in it because he was the last guy to hold both of them.
Uh huh.
But I guess there was an injunction that they couldn't show the belts on Impact on TNA television, which makes sense. It's not their IP. But Rhino threw the belts in a burn barrel and set them on fire. Finger quotes. But it obviously they were replicas. It wasn't the real deal. Rhino has both belts in his house right now, so they're still out there. But I guess rightfully they're both with the last guy to hold them. It's not just with the collector.
Exactly. Rightfully so. And right here, and he should keep those. He shouldn't sell those. He should keep
Yeah.
those.
Oh man, if he ever did decide to sell them to somebody, he'd probably be able to retire off of those
Oh,
authentic.
definitely, definitely.
It's like I always tell Menders, if David Cavazos ever retires that junior heavyweight title, I want to buy it from him because it was the old NWA Midwest X Division title first, and
Mm-hmm.
then I got to figure out a way to get the shine back on it because old.
Exactly. And I want the tag team belts, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's if we ever do like an indie episode, we'll just go through a few of those belts in one episode.
Exactly.
But But right now we're talking ECW. We're talking this belt in specifics. So the first big angle, obviously, Douglas and Taz. Probably my favorite feud in ECW that wasn't Dreamer and Raven, if I had to pick one. And like there you see, this is from Guilty as Charged '99. I had to actually screenshot this off my TV because I could not find a decent picture of Shane Douglas wearing this belt.
Yeah, and that's a damn good picture you got right there. Damn good screenshot.
Yeah, Francine. I've had the pleasure of talking to Shane a couple times. We got to meet Francine at the expo this past year. Bari, we were both there.
Yeah,
Uh, they're both so cool.
they are.
Yeah. Let's see. Bari, talk a little bit about Shane Douglas while I reboot my headset, just to keep it going here.
Shane Douglas definitely put ECW on the map. You all have to remember he had that tournament way back in 1994, and when he won, and he threw down the NWA 10 pounds of gold championship and proclaimed the ECW championship to be the real world championship. Um, he started off young with his career, and I mean, the guy was full of piss and vinegar, and ECW was definitely a home for him. And calling him the franchise is definitely the right thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
When this title was originated, he was at the tail end of his 400 plus day title reign, and yeah, guy's a franchise.
Hey, we got a response here, Bari, in the comments. 01 USA official. That's the boss. He says I'm getting buried with that belt. I can't blame him. Hey, it was worth a shot, right? I got to shoot my shot.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
everything you said, I agree with you about Shane. I had actually had a thought. I don't know if you're a baseball fan, Bari, going way back. Uh, Shane's a Pittsburgh guy, and there was a guy named Dave Parker, played for the Pirates back in the late '70s into the early '80s, and sometimes they would call him the franchise. And I always wondered if that's where Shane got the name from,
Very
because
well
Parker
possible. Yeah.
was a beast out there. Big right fielder who could hit the ball a ton. But Shane, he was it's so easy to compare guys to other guys in the business, and as much as he hated his guts, he was their Ric Flair. He
Exactly.
was the top heel guy. He was the best talker they had. He always walked around with the pretty girl. He was always in that world title picture. Uh,
God, and his right,
he,
and his promo and his delivery, guy, he always sounded pissed off and had a reason to be pissed off.
oh yeah, I mean there might not have been anybody except for Taz who was more intense than Douglas in promos. Uh,
Exactly.
and even having the triple threat, that was his horseman. That was the top group in ECW for a long time,
Yeah.
which I'm a fan of. I actually found the T-shirt on eBay last year, Barry, the triple threat shirt,
Really now.
which I'd been looking for that for 20 years, and I just stumbled across it on eBay. Like somebody's like reproduced them, so I got it for like $25, and I got it
Oh,
in the other room.
sweet.
I thought about wearing it at the expo, but maybe next year.
Yeah.
So showed the picture from Guilty as Charged, and of course that's the night that Shane dropped it to Taz. There you see him right there. I know this is him in WWE with the belt, but it's the same belt, so it counts. But
Exactly.
that run when Taz was chasing Shane, that went just about as far back as uh, was Living Dangerously '98 when he dropped the TV title to Bigelow. Because that
Yeah.
was pretty much right when he started chasing Shane, and then Shane got hurt, so it prolonged it. That's why Taz created the FTW title that you see on AEW these days.
Right.
Although
His baby
honestly,
boy
I
has it
like
now.
yeah, I got to be honest. I like the original FTW belt better than the one they use now. The one where they took an old TV title and painted it orange and put stickers all over it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought that looked awesome. That looked so cool. And then they
Ex-
had him actually had a real belt made for him. And I love the story that they engraved Taz's name on it because he was never supposed to lose the title, but then he dropped it to Sabu. So Sabu just put a piece. Sabu puts a piece of tape across Taz's name and just wrote his name on there. So
Sabu.
good old Sabu. But yeah, so that FTW title that was the draw the what's the word I'm looking for, transition to get Taz to the world title, because he would just call himself the real world champion while Shane was hurt, and said Shane was ducking him, all the good stuff you want to hear from a babyface chasing the
Exactly.
cowardly
Very
heel, if you
heartfelt
will.
very heartfelt promos.
Oh yeah, yeah, and he can still do it now if you listen to him, especially when
Exactly.
somebody's fucking with his kid.
Yeah.
But Taz, Joey Styles said it himself. He thought Taz would hold the title for years because nobody could touch him really. I mean, it took going through a ring to take a loss from Bam Bam, and then once he got up and once he won this title, he was damn near untouchable for
Yeah, he was.
many
God,
months.
he ran through everybody, and he had and Taz, as you know, he's short and but he was an intimidating son of a bitch, boy,
Man,
and he looked like
oh
a
yeah,
champion. Like,
he looked like a
yeah,
fighter.
exactly. He looked like he could whoop anybody's ass and bring it on.
If Mike Tyson was a pro wrestler, he would look like Taz,
Exactly.
except for Taz knows judo instead of boxing. But just the suplexes, all the submissions. Taz was just, like I said, him and Douglas are my two favorite ECW guys of all time.
Yeah, definitely.
So I love that they would feud with each other and go around. Like we said, Taz, he ran through everybody. He beat Candido at Hardcore Heaven, beat Bubba Ray at Hardcore Heaven, which is a match we'll talk about later. Uh, Match with Tajiri at Heatwave that they had to stay wide on because I don't know what he was doing to Tajiri that was because they went to a wide angle and I couldn't see. It was just
Exactly.
Joey Styles yelling at the director to go wide because he was going to get kicked off the pay per view. was like, what's he doing? It's like, so I don't know. I need to find somebody someday that was at that show so they can tell me what Taz was doing to poor Tajiri in that match.
Please tell us.
Yeah, right. And then of course Anarchy Rules in Chicago. I got that on DVD after like a couple years afterwards when they put all those ECW DVDs out at Same Goody that you would get with all in the VHS department.
God, I
And
remember those.
man, I loved the build. It was supposed to be Taz and Tanaka 1-on-1. That was what was announced, which would have been phenomenal anyway. But
Yeah, it would have.
then, but the angle that you watched this pay-per-view not too long ago, Barry. I know you were doing your homework on the ECW. So I think you told me you watched Anarchy Rules like a week ago.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm talking about when they're getting ready to go, and then here comes Judge Jeff Jones through the crowd with Mike Awesome.
But I was
The
Mike
story is
Awesome.
that the story goes that Jones stooged off to Awesome. They were using the clips of Tanaka beating him to build up the title match, so he
Yeah.
flew him in himself. It was just, man, it's so good. And
So
then
good.
then you get Paulie and Taz going back and forth on the microphone.
Man, listen, I'm
You
about to
if
say,
you
Paulie definitely fucking kicked the fourth wall down right there, and as soon
Yeah,
they both were rolling right there, brother. I was like,
man.
God, I forgot how good that was until I watched it again.
As awesome as Paulie's been doing with the Bloodline, and as good as he was with the Dangerous Alliance, my favorite Paulie is always going to be ECW Paulie when he was the boss.
Definitely, definitely. He
And
told her like it was and didn't give a
yeah,
fuck. Excuse my
and
language.
oh no, you're fine. It's YouTube. If they hate it, I'll get an email. That's all right. But when you watch that exchange between Taz and Paulie, and that you saw the heat there because Taz was on his way out. So
Exactly.
I think there was a little bit of animosity, not a lot. I mean, they were still doing business, and obviously there was still respect there. But Taz saying he's getting him a buy rate and all this stuff. That's yeah. Like I didn't know what a fucking buy rate was. Paper. Like,
Exactly.
I mean, it makes sense now that once I did some research, like back in the day. Obviously, I know now, but then yeah, they bring in Awesome for an impromptu three-way dance, which is kind of a staple in ECW. Uh, Taz lost in like what was it, 3 minutes in that match? He was the
Yeah.
first guy eliminated.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. He took a couple of finishes and that was it.
clean in the middle. Took that rolling elbow from Tanaka, which I would not take for $1 million. And
Nope.
then Awesome with that big frog splash, which I know we have opinions about big guys that fly around and do junior heavyweight stuff. Mike Awesome is appropriately named because he did all that stuff perfectly. I never
Mike
saw
Awesome
him
was in
really have a
a
misstep.
exactly. He was in a class by himself. Right. If you're gonna let a big man be agile and fly, that'd be Mike Awesome.
Right. If he had jumped off of a ladder through a table onto Sammy Guevara, he would have done it perfectly.
Yeah.
That's neither here nor there. I mean, we'll probably discuss that more on Tuesday on Jumping the Rail because we're getting to the back half of the roster on the next episode. So
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Sting will be mentioned. Yeah, we got a little ambitious. I thought we were going to get through the whole roster in one episode, but we got through like the P's in 2 hours. I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. But anyway, so Taz gets eliminated first. The crowd was shocked. You heard it go almost silent when he got pinned.
The air
Because
came out the
like we
room.
said,
Yeah.
he was untouchable. Nobody thought that was going to happen. And then the locker room empties. Everybody's on the ramp watching the match. Afterwards, Taz walks off with his head up. And then you get I don't ever watch these with stopwatches. What was it, 10, 15 minutes of Awesome and Tanaka? And
Man, listen, those two beat the absolute every time they
oh,
wrestled. They beat the
every
absolute
time.
piss out of each other. Oh my God, the chair shots and the
Oh,
potatoes and the table spots. Jesus Christ.
just just looking at the chair when Awesome hit Tanaka with it, and it was like completely folded inward, like it was dented in the shape of his head.
Yeah.
Like
And it's like,
how hard is his head? I just wondering.
yes.
I'd be
And
dead.
it,
I
and
would be in the hospital with one of those chair
exactly.
shots, and these guys keep hitting.
Exactly.
Well,
And it's like knowing what I know about CTE today, it's like, ew,
Oh,
ew.
and unfortunately, knowing what happened to Awesome
Awesome,
less than
exactly.
10 years later, it's one of the sad statistics in wrestling. But Tanaka's still going. He's going to be in St. Louis in October,
Yeah.
and I think we're talking about maybe taking a road trip, Bari. Go down and check
Hey,
that out.
let me know. All right, I can
If I can,
always arrange my schedule.
if I can get the 2 days off, and then maybe we'll have to make a road trip down there because Masato Tanaka's going to be in Anarchy in St. Louis in October.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
he's a guy I never thought I'd get a chance to see live, so he's one I want to jump on and check
Exactly.
him out.
Right. Wrestling one of our favorites, Gary J. So
Gary
definitely we want you
J,
to be there. Yeah.
yes. So Awesome wins the title in the three-way over Tanaka with that insane top rope power bomb, which again he makes it look so easy because I mean, you forget he's 6'6" and 300 some odd pounds in that match because of the stuff he's doing.
Exactly.
So they have a classic standing ovation. He's over like Rover. It wasn't even the main event on that show. That was in the middle of the show because Van Dam and Mahoney was the main event for the TV title on that show.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Uh, but that was that's Anarchy Rules was right around the time that TNN started, like maybe a couple weeks after the first TNN episode, if my math is right. So Awesome starts making the rounds. Eventually, and there's a picture of Awesome with the belt. Then Judge
Look
Jeff
at him.
Jones,
Fucking
and
Jack,
also
man.
yeah, and also maybe my favorite ECW entrance music because
Hmm.
he had it's like they wrote a song for him. Well, somebody did. I don't know who it was, but yeah, he was a complete 180 from most of the guys they had holding the world title in ECW up to that point. I mean, you look at the guys. You have Douglas, you have Terry Funk, Raven, Dreamer. None of these guys really look like elite athletes, really.
Exactly.
Well, Douglas, I'll give you Douglas and Taz, but then you got Sabu, who's all scarred up. Sandman always looked like he just rolled out of bed. Then you get this guy, and he's jacked to the gills. He's a phenomenal athlete, probably the
Looks
best
like
all-around athlete they had.
looks like he drinks a dozen of eggs and a side of beef for breakfast every morning.
Right, right. The glorious hairstyle. We can't look over the mullet.
God, the
It was
mullet,
it was
yeah.
it was magnificent.
Iconic.
Yes. The wife won't let me grow a mullet. I couldn't anyway. It'd be a Hulk Hogan more than a Mike Awesome at this point.
Well, we're not going to do that, Reb.
No, no. I will get it'll be bad. So eventually in December, I think it was on New Year's, like Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, I think 2 weeks in a row, they had the title switch on TV, which was Awesome dropping the title to Tanaka and then dropping it back right afterwards. But there you see Masato Tanaka with that belt. What a handsome devil that is. Look at
Yeah,
that
look
guy.
at him. Look at him.
Yeah. And
He'll,
I've got to assume, because I didn't watch a lot of FMW back in the day, I got to assume when Awesome was the champ here, he was taking that belt over to FMW and defending it
I'd assume so
also.
because he was still doing stuff over there. So
I
yeah, I
think he
would
was still
assume
under
so.
contract there, yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know. So Awesome wins. I think Awesome won the belt back on New Year's Eve on TV. I think that match was on one of the compilation DVDs that WWE put out,
Uh huh.
and but I may have to go see if I can find it on Peacock. But so then Awesome gets his second run with the title, and that's the one that stuck. It was for about 5 months, I think, 5 or 6 months.
And he was
Uh,
whooping the hell out of everybody,
yeah.
throwing Spike Dudley
Oh,
around.
Spike. Oh my God. Oh, we're gonna talk about Awesome. That guiltiest charge match.
Yeah.
If you can call it a match, it was just Awesome. Just to use your term, yeeting Spike all over creation. Uh, oh my God, Spike! If there's one thing Spike was good at, it was getting his ass kicked,
Exactly.
and I mean that in a good way. I mean that as a compliment. He was the guy. You put him in there with Bam Bam. You put him in there with Bubba Ray. You put him in there with Awesome. He's getting thrown around, and he's going to make it look good.
Look and make it look damn good, and he's gonna get up.
Yeah, he's going to get up. It makes you wonder if he was like made out of Stretch Armstrong material, where he was just like go liquid and then get back up and I'm fine.
Exactly.
Yeah. Also, at this point, Awesome was one half of the tag champions for a little bit with Raven at the same time. That's when he was
Yeah,
double champion.
yeah, yeah. That's
It
right.
was during that.
Yeah.
It was during that time when the tag division kind of went into limbo in 2000.
After
It
the
was
Dudleys
originally
left.
after the Dudleys left, then they put it on Raven and Dreamer as like the unlikely tag team. Then they put it on the Impact Players, who was probably the most legit actual tag team they had at that point. Just Incredible, Lance Storm, and then they dropped it to Tanaka and Dreamer, and then they dropped it to Raven and Awesome, and then I think they went vacant at that point. I forget exactly. I'll do a deeper dive when we cover the tag titles, but that was all going on while Awesome was still the world champion. And then that's when the controversy happened, Bari, in mid 2000. Kevin Nash is cutting a promo on crutches in the ring on Nitro, and here comes Mike Awesome,
The
beats the
true,
shit out of him.
right, the true $1 million champion.
Right. He took the big payday from WCW to come over. I guess Heyman had an injunction so he couldn't take the belt with him because he was afraid they were going to get Medusa again.
hmm
And then excuse me, still not quite over this toxic air shit that wreaked havoc on my lungs.
Man,
Uh,
it's brutal.
Indianapolis, Indiana. I forget the date. It was in like maybe June of 2000. And Mike Awesome, who was officially a WCW contracted performer, defended the ECW Heavyweight Championship at an ECW show against Taz, who was a WWF contracted performer, and that was how they got the belt off Awesome and got him out the door to WCW. Taz won the belt back from him.
He
Then
beat him in like
Taz,
60 seconds.
it was short. Yeah, it was a squash.
Yeah.
Taz wasn't even in gear. He was in a t-shirt and jeans when he beat him.
Yeah.
But that was in Indianapolis. I got a friend that was actually there. He said it was insane when Taz came out.
Oh, I bet.
Oh man, I wish I would have gone to more because they had some ECW shows around here, like in Decatur, Peoria, and then also
Really.
in Indianapolis. So if I would have had like money, I would have tried to go to some of those shows, but I had to just hear about it all after the fact, unfortunately. But Taz held the belt for a couple weeks. He actually defended it on WWF television. He had the match with Triple H where Dreamer interfered, and everybody complained that they're squashing the ECW. No, they put him in with Triple H. Triple H was the best guy they had. I mean, there's no shame.
Exactly.
There was no shame in losing to Triple H.
None.
Shit, probably still isn't. If if he decided to put his boots on one more time, we know he won't. But. But the Dreamer interference led to CyberSlam '99, when Dreamer finally became the ECW champion, beat Taz. Uh, that's the best picture I could find. And unfortunately, he didn't have a whole lot of opportunities to get pictures with that belt, Bari, because 18 minutes later, he would drop the ECW World Heavyweight Championship to this guy.
Just incredible.
Just incredible. Maybe the hottest heel they had at the time, because nobody liked him.
No one.
Everybody hated Just
It's a
Incredible with a
freaking
fiery
prick.
passion. Of course, Francine turned on Dreamer during the match, joined up with Justin. Uh, actually, I think nope. Now I got it right because the Impact Players had won the tag titles back. Justin was one half the tag champs when he won this, and he threw down the tag titles, and that's why they went vacant. So now I got it remembered. And when I thought back on this, I thought Justin held the title longer than he did because it was basically just for the summer. It was only for
Yeah,
about
that was
three
it.
months.
Yeah.
But he was on. He had the match. We got to talk about the match, Bari, with Dreamer at Heatwave 2000. Uh, the one when all hell broke loose in the crowd. It was
Yeah, it was more going on in the crowd than it was in the ring.
yeah, because some of the fine upstanding gentlemen from XPW decided to show up in the crowd. Somebody got a little fresh with Francine at ringside, and everybody came out of the locker room. I mean, literally, look, Big Sal was running out there. He was running.
Running, yeah.
600-pound man was running. They wanted to beat some ass, and
Yeah.
I guess it spilled out into the parking lot. The cops were called, all this stuff. So it kind of took away from some of the attention that should have been on the match because Dreamer and Justin always had great matches with each other. Uh, the Stairway to Hell match at Guilty as Charged was crazy when Funk interfered and helped Justin win. But but this one that was Justin's, well, no pun intended. I promise. Everybody knows me knows I love my puns. That was Justin's first credible win as world champion
Yeah.
in ECW when he beat Tommy. Uh, and then yeah, he was rolling with that belt on every week on TV. He'd be out there with it, talking about how great he was, how shitty everybody else was. And then Anarchy Rules again. I guess Anarchy Rules was a good show to drop titles at. Uh, got this guy Jerry Lynn beat him for it.
Very
I
well deserving too. Very well
very much.
deserving.
Now I forget, was Anarchy Rules in Minneapolis? Was this the
Uh,
hometown? Was this the hometown pop for Jerry?
you know what? It may have been. I don't remember.
You know what? I'm gonna look it up. But Jerry was. I would go so far as to say most underrated guy they had.
He
Uh,
was, man. Those matches he put on with RVD, man.
it's one of those always the bridesmaid situations. But Jerry finally he got the win over Van Dam at Hardcore Heaven
Mm-hmm.
in 2000. That was Van Dam's first pay-per-view loss, which is really saying something. Let's see. It was in the Roy Wilkins Auditorium in St. Paul, Minnesota. So yeah, that was right in
That was,
Jerry's backyard in Anarchy Rules.
yep, well, that was definitely a hometown pop for him then.
Oh yeah, yeah. But it was a great match. I remember watching the match. I
Oh
watched
yeah,
Anarchy Rules not too long ago. We've talked, Bari, about kind of how ECW was kind of a tailspin in 2000 as far as the product. I mean, we loved it, and it wasn't for the lack of talent. It was just they were losing more than they were gaining at that point, talent wise.
exactly. Yeah,
And that's not a knock on Heyman. They were doing what they could with it, but eventually that's where we were talking about the tag team division. Once the Dudleys left, once Taz left, it kind of left a big hole in the singles division, especially the world title picture. But these guys really picked up the slack in the world title picture, especially
they did. Yeah, they stepped up.
yeah. Then Jerry, I think he held it for maybe a month, 6 weeks or so before he dropped the title to Carino.
To Carino, yeah.
Yeah, there he is, King of Old School, right there. Look at that guy. You just want to slap him,
That
don't you?
guy. Yeah, he got he right, he right. He's got the slappable face too.
Yes, the King of Old School, one of my favorites. I was a big Carino fan. My brother was actually in Peoria at the Limp Bizkit concert when Balls Mahoney and Axel Rotten and Carino were up on the stage and they beat him up
Oh wow.
because Carino came out to yell at Fred Durst for being a poor example for the youth of America. Whatever, cutting the old school promo, like he does.
Hmm.
And then Balls and Axel and New Jack came through the crowd and they went right past where my brother was. And my brother doesn't watch ECW. He didn't know who any of these people were. And when Balls Mahoney's like, move. My brother looked us up, Balls Mahoney there. He's like, okay, just couldn't go. And then, yeah, then they came in they had their chairs with them and just beat the piss out of Carino on the stage right there in Peoria.
God, I bet that was great.
Oh, I wish I would. I hate Limp Bizkit, but I wish I was there. I would have gone there for the wrestling. I was not a Limp
Yeah.
Bizkit fan.
No, no.
But
Sorry, Fred Durst.
yeah, so yeah, Carino won the belt, and it was a weird match. It was that double Jeopardy four-way match. It was Carino. It was Jerry defending against Carino, Justin, and Sandman,
Yeah.
and they had it. And I'm just off the top of my head because I watched this about 6 months ago last time. It was where it was two singles matches going simultaneously. It was Carino and Sandman and Justin and Jerry. I think they had to wrestle each other. Even though it was a four-way, they could only pin each other at that point. And then when two guys were eliminated, then it was a one-on-one for the title. And it came down to, I believe, Jerry and not Jerry. Jerry was actually the first one eliminated. It was Justin and Carino, and Carino wound up winning. That's how he got the belt.
Uh huh.
And yeah, so he held it. Then Sandman stole the belt from him. Literally, he wasn't the champion. He just had the belt. That damn Sandman. And guilty as charged. Again, guilty as charged. The last ECW pay-per-view, Sandman won the ladder match, three-way with Carino and Justin, and his fourth time as champion, first time with that belt though.
With that belt. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and then but he kind of got the dreamer treatment but instead of 18 minutes, he got maybe 2 minutes with it because and I'm sure you've seen the show, so you know where I'm going with this.
Gore,
Look at that
gore,
guy.
gore.
Rhino comes in, open like the spontaneous challenge. Sandman, being the valiant champion, says ring the bell, and Rhino squashed him in like 90 seconds. So that's why Rhino went down as the last official ECW champion in 2001 before he went to work for WWF. I was always a little surprised when they did the invasion, and there's a lot of things they did wrong with the invasion, but I thought there was so much potential with it. I was always surprised they never had Rhino out with the belt. I thought they would have had him defending the ECW World Title during the
Right.
invasion.
Well,
I know he
maybe
was
at
hurt
that.
eventually.
Right. Well, maybe at that time they thought 3 world championships was too much.
I mean, perish the thought, right? I mean, they had 18 championships between WCW and WWF at the time anyway.
God,
Like, what the
so
more?
many. God, so many.
But
There were so many championship matches every week during the invasion angle. We're defending the
then,
lightweight, and we're defending both hardcore championships. And somebody brought in 2 sets of tag belts, and then there was a United States championship and the European still.
yeah, hardcore. But they never brought the WCW hardcore title in.
No,
That
and
would have made
rightfully
sense.
so. Yeah,
That would have made sense, but I'm glad they didn't. But yeah, we're so we kind of stumbled through the invasion. Like we said, we didn't see the belt during the invasion. Uh, after Survivor Series, kind of ECW was an afterthought for about 5 years. Unfortunately, not to us diehards, but they were never. They were just kind of going around like on the indies. Some of these guys were kind of basking in their former glory as ECW legends, here and there. Uh, do you remember watching One Night Stand 2005?
that would be the first one night stand, right?
The first one, yeah, the one that actually
Yeah,
felt like an ECW show.
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
I
that one. Yeah,
mean, the '06 one wasn't bad, but it just felt like Vince's fingerprints were all over it. The one
exactly.
in
Well, now we
'05,
should do this.
yeah, the '05 one felt like an ECW show. It was in the Hammerstein. The crowd was nuclear for that show. These were people that had been waiting 5 years for an ECW comeback,
Exactly. They were
and
frothing almost.
they were frothing. They were foaming at the mouth for this stuff, and we got some dream matches, got some old rivalries. We got that awesome Tanaka match on that show, which Austin proved even without the mullet, he was still awesome.
Exactly.
Uh, Jericho and Storm. I
I
mean,
was just I was just getting ready to say Jericho and Storm was a banger too.
yeah, and that was the opener. That's the you start off hot, and that was it. Benoit and Eddie always had awesome matches, so I was glad they put that on there. But like we said, there was no championships on the line in this show. It was just kind of pure nostalgia, and I was okay with it. It was awesome. I was probably the best. I would say the best pay-per-view of 2005, in my opinion.
I'll agree.
So fast forward to 2006, Rob Van Dam's got the Money in the Bank contract, cashes in on Cena at One Night Stand with a little assist from Edge, so he became the world champion. And on the first episode of ECW on Sci-Fi, I can see you're cringing from. Now we're gonna have to talk about this, Bari. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, I know, I know. Right,
Yeah,
the first episode of ECW on Sci-Fi, and it was deemed the christening of the ECW
uh-huh.
championship.
Yep, and there it is. People had been wanting Van Dam to be ECW champion so long. It just kind of burns me that they had to wait until it was the WWE version for him to get it. Because he probably would have got
Exactly.
it if he hadn't broke his ankle in 2000, he would have been world champion easily.
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
there was nobody hotter than Van Dam in ECW in 2000. That was the other kind of thing when Taz left, but then Van Dam getting hurt just compounded everything as far as finding competitors and contenders for the championship. But Van Dam got his championship, and then he fucked it up because he and Sabu pulled the Duggan spot from 10 years earlier, or well, actually closer to 20 years earlier, when they got pulled over, had some recreational goodies in their luggage,
Yeah,
as you like to say,
yeah.
my friend. So, so they both get suspended. Of course, Van Dam has to drop both titles in 2 days. So he dropped the WWE title to Edge on Raw. Then the next night on ECW, he dropped it to the Big
The
Show.
Big Show, and what we'll call the South Philly screw job.
Yes, the South Philly screw job. Look at Heyman. Heyman smiling in this picture. I know he was not happy about this. It's not a knock on show, but he was not who Heyman wanted to put the belt on. There was some
Oh no.
outside influence there.
Oh yeah.
Come on, pal, he's huge. That kind of thing.
He'll be a monster in ECW.
Yeah, yeah. And so he holds it from July through December. The
December.
the now notorious December to Dismember pay-per-view in the
Oh
Extreme
God.
Elimination Chamber. I know this is I'm cringing too, buddy. I promise, but we got to talk about it. So
Yeah.
first, let's talk about the plan. Heyman was pushing hard for Punk to be the guy to beat Show for the title. I guess Heyman's idea was for Punk and Show to start the match in the Elimination Chamber. Punk tap Show out like before the third guy comes out, and then Punk just goes through everybody to win the title, and that would be the star-making performance for CM Punk. Makes sense to me. I thought
Yeah.
that
Me
was a good
too.
idea. And that's something that would have happened in the original ECW if they had a budget for an elimination chamber. If they'd done like a gauntlet or whatever. But instead of Punk, and again, I mean, not a knock on the guy, they put it on Bobby Lashley. Uh, he looks like he's wondering, why am I holding this championship?
Why am I holding this exactly?
But they were ready to strap the rocket to him. He was going to be the next Cena, I guess, for all intents and purposes. The big clean cut baby face, hell of an athlete back. This is like OG Lashley when he was doing the chin up on the top rope to get into the ring. If you remember that.
Yeah, I remember that.
But yeah, so he holds it until, let's see, he was. They had a non-title match at WrestleMania, the Battle of the Billionaires, when Vince got his head shaved, which was silly. I would have liked to see him defend the title at WrestleMania, but that's just me.
Exactly. I think he got one pay per view title defense, and it was against Test at Rumble '07.
Yeah, and honestly, not a bad match. I always like Test.
Not a bad match. Yeah,
So
yeah. I was a huge Test fan.
yeah, he always got kind of a bum rap, but I always like Test. He was one of those guys like Awesome, could move around in the ring and he could do a little bit of the flying. He wasn't quite as good at it as Awesome was, but he could throw a hell of a top rope elbow drop though.
Yeah, he could. Or as we would say about
I
Test when I
was
was a teenager, he had a move set that was all finishers.
uh-huh. Oh yeah, pump handle slams, power bombs, big boot. That big boot was something though.
God, wasn't it?
Oh man, he made that look good. But yeah, so Lashley holds it through WrestleMania, Backlash, and this is where things get juicy, Bari. Oh, I was not. I watched this pay-per-view live. I was not happy at the end of this match. It was a handicap match, 1-on-3, Bobby Lashley versus Vince, Shane, and Umaga. And I thought, okay, Umaga's gonna win, and Umaga's gonna win the title. I would have been fine with that. I like Umaga.
Yeah, yeah, me
He's
too.
awesome heel.
When this happened, I took a break from watching wrestling when this
I don't blame you.
happened.
Uh, do we? Can we agree this was probably just a giant fu to Paul Heyman?
Yeah, it was. It was Paul Heyman, come sniff my sack.
Oh, jeez. That's kind of a step up from the Kiss My Ass Club, isn't it? The Sniff My Sack Club. Ugh. So, so Vince holds the title for way longer than he had any business holding it. Uh, uh, I think what 2 months, I think, and then
Yeah, that sounds about
drops
right.
dropped it to Lashley in the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, and then got blown up in the limousine. That was the end of Vince's arc, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, when Vince won the WWF title from Triple H, I got it because it was not intended to be a long-term story. It was just something to get a rating, And Vince was a babyface when that happened. But also, during NXT, Vince came out and said, "I can't defend this. I'm relinquishing it," and made it vacant. But this was when Vince was in all of his egotistical grandiosity, when he thought he was one of the boys, comes out, beat Van Dam on TV, think beat Dreamer,
Yeah.
and of course always had help. It was always Shane and Umaga right there. But yeah, I was not pleased about that. Eventually dropped the belt to Lashley. Then Lashley got drafted, and here's what's weird. When he got drafted, he didn't get to take the belt with him, Bari.
No, he didn't.
I mean, what a novel idea. Have the belt
Hey,
stay with the brand that it represents and not go between all the shows.
how about that?
How about that? So the belt gets holed up. They have a tournament. Comes down, the finals comes down to Benoit and Punk. What happens, happens. We're not going to get too deep into that.
We won't get
Uh,
into that. I was in Buffalo Wild Wings watching Night of Champions, and I thought it was a bit weird, but that's neither here nor there. But
yeah,
yeah,
because Benoit was not the type to no show. So that was always what
exactly,
threw me. Uh,
exactly.
I will say, I think Benoit was supposed to be the first champ. I think he was supposed to be the champ there. I would imagine he was going to beat Punk.
Yeah, I would think so. And then
Yeah, then maybe.
going back and watching that match was real rushed and put together.
Uh-huh. Well,
Yeah,
I think literally because I'm guessing it was like maybe 2 hours notice for these guys. That oh, by the way, Johnny, you're gonna win the championship tonight. It's like okay, you'll have a match with Punk for 10 minutes.
right.
But they did. Hey, credit where it's due. Those guys put together a pretty darn good match for the short notice. And there you see it. When he won the belt, he was still Johnny Nitro, but this is John Morrison when he had the character change. And and I actually dug the character when he changed to John Morrison at
Yeah,
first. Also, nobody really gave him credit for how good he was until about this point when he won the ECW title. He was always the Eminem guy, and had Molina with him, and he was dangling the belt from his balls or whatever. But but then he goes around. I'm sorry, I had to throw that in there. But then he goes around. He has three really solid pay-per-view matches with Punk. Punk never beats him. Morrison held it all the way through until until he got suspended for wellness policy and dropped it to Punk on TV. And this guy, and I know we're all high on Punk in the ring. I never met the guy. I can't talk to him, talk about his personality. This is the, and this is where Paul was going. This is the one guy that they had that looked like he would have been a credible ECW champion in the original ECW.
yeah, very true.
Uh, he looked like he looked like he would have represented the original ECW there.
That belt fit him.
Yeah, it was a logical starting point for him because he went on to what four more world titles in WWE
Hmm.
between the Big Gold and the WWE title. But yeah, that was the first real coming out for Punk. He'd done the Survivor Series match with DX and the Hardys in the year before, but they made him. And I actually liked the long term storytelling. They did a slow burn here, where Punk had to work his way up to get the title shot, then three pay-per-views, and then finally, and again, even though Johnny was on his way out with the suspension, that was probably the best match out of the four that they had between the pay-per-views and that TV match. The best one was the one where Punk won. Uh, I have to digress though because, and I love the Guerrero family, Bari. Uh, I do. I got all the respect in the world for the Guerrero family. Why the hell did they put the belt on Chavo?
Yeah, that made no sense to me at all. I remember now. I started watching ECW again once Punk became champion, and Punk had beat everybody, and then all of a sudden he loses to Chavo. Are you kidding me? Again, like you said, all respect to the Guerrero family and all that you've done and what you contribute to the sport of wrestling, but Chavo,
Yeah, and it was and Edge had to help him. Edge interfered on his behalf, and then instead of getting a rematch right away, they had a I forget
go
what they
for
called the
Mexico
match.
match. Go for
Yeah,
Mexico.
and Punk GTS Chavo into the Gulf of Mexico the next what was it the next week on TV?
I think so.
It's just weird booking. I mean, it's 2007 was not the golden era of booking for WWE across the board. I mean, yeah, it just not good. Uh, so Chavo holds the belt longer than he has any business doing it. I think he held it from like December through April
Through April,
on
yeah, it's
national
WrestleMania.
WrestleMania, and then another ECW stalwart. And this is when
It's
they decide let's just put it on just our main guys. Just forget about the lineage, the legacy, the vibe, the atmosphere of ECW. Let's put it on Kane.
let's put
And
it on Kane. It's gotta be
it's gotta
Kane.
be Kane. And we'll do it by beating Chavo in 8 seconds at WrestleMania.
Yeah, well, rightfully so.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Kane did win a battle royal to get the shot,
Exactly.
but still, yeah. And then Kane, he was just I think the belt was just a prop by this point to Vince.
Exactly. Not knocking Kane, but yeah,
No, not
brother, you're
knocking
not
Kane.
you're not
No,
ECW champion material, bub.
no, no. Now, I forget how long Kane held the title for, because at this point I was kind of tuning out of I wasn't home to watch the TVs. I was always working. I think I was working.
Um, Kane held the title from WrestleMania that year to that year's Night of Champions.
Okay, so about 3 months or so, give or take,
Yeah,
three
yeah.
or 4 months. But he dropped the title to the world's strongest man. Now, this guy, Paul could have done something with in the original ECW. This
Oh
version of Mark Henry is
God.
my favorite version of Mark
Yeah,
Henry.
yeah, yeah. Hall of Pain,
Hall of Pain.
dreadlocks, full beard. Yeah. What
That's what I
nobody
do.
fucking. Yeah, that's what I do. And what nobody fucking with Mark Henry then.
No, no, he looked like the meanest guy in the company at this point.
Exactly.
He's not just a floating head in the split screen saying it's time for the main event at this point.
Mm-mm.
But no, I liked when Mark Henry really made that turnaround. I was hot and cold on him during the whole sexual chocolate Nation of Domination period. But around the time that he came back after he got sent down to OVW to get in shape and kind of work out some of the kinks, is when he came back with the hair with this look, and that's when he started
Yeah.
just running through people. Ted Long brought him back like three. Then he
God, what are you
just
talking about? Right. He ripped the damn cage door off and went in there and destroyed Batista.
yeah. Then he jumped Taker in a cage when Edge cashed in on him. So
Yeah.
he was just a one man wrecking crew for a good 4 years up to this point when he won the title. And then Mark is the one that retired this version of the championship. Uh, then they brought in the old platinum belt. And like we said, in WWE when they used it, they changed the belt. So instead of being purple on the logo, it was red at this point.
Red, yeah.
That's the only big change they made to the belt that I could see. But yeah, Mark Henry's the one that closed the book on this championship, and now it sits. Well, the purple one sits in Rhino's house. I don't know. For all I know, maybe Mark Henry has that one. Maybe it went to the archives. You never know.
It's right. It's
Uh,
probably in the warehouse somewhere collecting dust in a big crate.
yeah. Oh, if I could get 5 minutes alone with that crate, I
God,
would
that's it.
I would divulge them of some some of their wares in there.
Yeah. Same here.
Yeah, I think Dreamer tried, but Heyman made him put it back during one of the nights when they were there. He went into the road, got like an Intercontinental title, and was going to take it, but Heyman made him put it back because he messed up their working relationship. They haven't got stealing their stuff. But I digress. So yeah, so that's the championship lineage. It's not quite it was longer than I thought it would be just because we added the WWE guys in there. Let's get into the notables here, Bari. Starting off, notable feuds. Obviously, Douglas and Taz. It's going to be the first one, and then Awesome and Tanaka, which is probably my favorite out of all the feuds that happened for this title,
Hmm.
just for the matches alone.
Yeah, I
Justin
know
Credible and
the
Jerry Lynn.
fucking brutality.
Oh, they brought Japanese strong style to the U.S. there, and not even just Japanese strong style, Japanese deathmatch style. Like
Exactly.
they couldn't they couldn't bring sh- uh, some of the deathmatch workers that were really notorious over there, but I mean Tanaka did, but and they never booked death matches like they do now with the hardcore stuff. It was just wrestling in ECW, but they just happened to be very relaxed with the rules and weapons were allowed and all that stuff. Uh, then the other ones I got here, I got Justin Credible and Jerry Lynn. Short feud, but that's the one that got Jerry over. Carino and Sandman was fun for the theft of the belt and Carino trying to trying to get his belt back so he could be the champion. He was getting kind of
Right.
nuts. And then I actually did throw Punk and Morrison into my list here out of the WWE ECW just because of the matches that they had.
Okay. I have pretty much the same list, but I'm going to add in Awesome and Spike. I enjoyed it. It was the first time that showed how we all knew how tough Spike was, but we really didn't know how tough Spike was until he was in there with Mike Awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And also we kind of grew to appreciate even more just how friggin' strong Awesome was. the
Exactly.
stuff he was doing. I couldn't really get behind Awesome knocking Spike's girlfriend's teeth out in the build-up.
No, yeah,
That was a little fucked up.
I remember going back and saying, I said, "Ooh, that's you
Yeah, that
can't do
promo
that
Spike
today."
did. No, not on mainstream wrestling. You could probably pull it off in GCW or something. But no, that Spike promo was kind of uncomfortable to watch on Guilty as Charged before the match.
Yeah.
Let's see. Favorite matches for belt here. You just mentioned it. Austin Spike from Guilty as Charged is right up there at the top of my list. Uh, Again, wasn't going to be competitive, but man, it was fun to watch that one.
Here you go. I got one for you.
Okay.
Well, I I think you're freezing up on us again, brother.
Uh-oh. Can you not hear me?
I can hear you, but you're breaking up.
Okay, hang on. Go ahead. Start talking
One
there
of
too.
my
Don't forget to mute
favorite,
my headset.
one of my personal favorite ECW World Title matches, and I'm going to go when they were doing their thing with WWE, but Big Show and Sabu at SummerSlam. I think it was SummerSlam '08. They put on a real good Extreme Rules match. And they kind of highlighted, I guess, maybe some of the brutal stuff that the Big Show can do, and that Sabu can still go. But that was definitely one of my favorite matches. Um, yeah. Are you back with us, man?
Yeah, I'm back with you. I remember that. They actually gave Sabu some hope spots in that.
Yeah, yeah, they really did. They really did. Now at the end, Big Show was gassed, but
Oh,
he
it was
did what
going
he
sky
could.
high.
Exactly,
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly.
All right. Let me throw
And
another
then,
one at you here, Bari. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go to Hardcore Heaven 99. Taz and Bubba Ray Dudley in the main event on that show. Taz actually had two title matches because he beat Candido in like 2 minutes in the opening match. Then the Dudleys hit him with a 3D after that match was over with, and then Taz challenged either one of them to a title match in the main event, and it wound up being Bubba.
Yeah,
And that was the first time I'd really seen Bubba as a single, and it was really good. I mean, he's awesome nowadays doing what he's doing, but that was the first little inkling that we got of what Bubba slash Bully Ray can do in a singles match.
exactly, exactly. And look at him now, man. He's still going today. He's one of the top heels in the world.
Best heel in wrestling right now. I'm gonna say
Yeah,
it
yeah.
because nobody cheers him.
Nobody. It's because he's a
Nobody.
ass. That's why.
All right. Uh, let's see. Next one I got uh the Just Incredible Jerry Lynn match from Anarchy Rules 2000. Just great classic ECW title match. Not a lot of not a lot of Gaga in that match. Like not a lot of plunder tables, all that stuff. But there was some, obviously. Justin
Right,
took
and
his
that's
pain for
okay.
a reason.
You don't need to have a lot of plunder in matches all the time anyhow. So no, that was fine.
Right,
Yeah, I thought it was the right amount of things. You got Justin with his kendo stick, so yeah,
right. And Jerry always doing the dives to the floor too, so that adds a little bit extra to it. And uh,
exactly.
and yeah, then Jerry got the big hometown pop in St. Paul, winning the world title. So it's a little bit of something for everybody on that one. Uh, the other two we talked quite a bit about. Taz, Awesome, and Tanaka from Anarchy Rules '99. We went into that pretty sufficiently already.
Yeah.
And then I got Awesome and Tanaka from New Year's Eve on ECW TV
Okay.
when Awesome won the belt back. So those I think I think we dissected those suitably already. Am I missing any, Bart? You got anything extra that
Uh, no, I don't have anything else on my list as far as that lineage goes. We mentioned that Test and Bobby Lashley match from Rumble '07 and how good it was too. So,
Yeah, yeah.
um, yeah, that's probably it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, those are our favorites. Let's talk a little bit about our least favorites. And most of the ones I have on here are just because they're so short, so you can't really appreciate anything. Dreamer and Justin from CyberSlam 2000 after the 18 minutes after Dreamer beat Taz. Again, the only thing really notable about that was Francine hit Dreamer with a low blow and Justin tombstoned him and pinned him. You know,
Right. Right.
pretty much the whole match. Taz and Candido from Hardcore Heaven 99. We just talked about him and Bubba. Same deal. Candido jumped him, hit the bell, kind of got some quick offense, but then Taz choked him out in like 3 minutes, which is kind of Taz's wheelhouse for a lot of years in ECW. Just kind of almost like a Magnum TA-ish kind of push where he would just beat you lickety split. Rhino and Sandman guilty as charged, same deal. Maybe a 2 minute match.
2 minute match.
Three,
Yeah.
two Gores and a pile driver, and then Rhino won. So uh, I'll throw Taz and Sabu from Living Dangerously '99 on here. Uh, I love the feud between those two. I love the dynamic with Fonzie being involved, being Taz's old manager and everything. Uh, the match was just it wasn't as good as the stuff I'm used to seeing out of those two. I mean, obviously, Barely Legal's the gold standard for Taz and Sabu, but it just seemed like it was just another title defense for Taz almost in this match.
Exactly.
And it was actually a unification. Those Taz winning back that FTW title.
Yep.
Uh, Actually, my favorite thing about that was before the match when they showed the clip of Taz breaking Sabu's jaw with a clothesline, like in a previous match. Whoa. Taz worked a little stiff ski with Sabu, and they did not like
And
each other, from what I
no,
understand.
they didn't. Yeah, and he threw a stiff one right there. Definitely.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So then the other one I have on here, actually, and I just put it on here just because the crowd was so distracted. Dreamer and Justin from Heatwave 2000. After the whole shit going down in the crowd, they just kind of took everybody out of the match. They were
Yeah.
so it was a fine match, but it just just the crowd wasn't as into it. And then there was a lot of guy got the end. I think Jazz interfered, Jason obviously, uh, Francine, all those people. So that's my list of my least favorites. But none of them are necessarily bad matches. They're just a lot of them are just really short.
Exactly.
All right. You got any on of yours that I missed as far as Thinkaroos?
We're gonna jump ahead a little bit. We're gonna jump ahead to
Oh,
WWECW.
okay. Now that's just low hanging fruit, Bari.
But yeah, no, hear me out. No, right, we're talking about stinkers. Now, not all of the world title matches were stinkers, but a majority were. And we're just going to mention two real fast. We're going to
Okay.
mention we're going to mention the Big Show versus Ric Flair for the
Oh,
ECW World
oh my God!
Championship.
I forgot about that match. I had gotten that match out of my mind for 15 years.
I'm sorry,
Ric Flair
but I
going
was
in for
going.
thumbtacks.
Yeah, these are things that we should not see
I
a
mean,
man of
why?
It's like, who did Ric Flair piss off that week for them to put him in the ring with the Big Show?
Well, somebody's
And in
husband, I'm
Extreme,
sure.
yeah, of course it had to be. So you,
Oh,
so
okay.
right, so you got that, and then you got the rematch between Chavo and Kane at the next month. Like, what was that, Backlash? They had a rematch for the
Yeah.
ECW Championship where La Familia was formed.
Oh, the
God,
Familia. Oh,
Jesus, Bam
Bam
Neely, and
Neely. Yeah.
oh God,
Like
Vicky
Edge and the
Guerrero.
Edgeheads.
Oh God, yeah, yeah,
Cardona.
yeah, yeah. They definitely made it made it hard to watch.
It was a fustercluck there.
Yes, very much, very much.
Yes.
So
All right.
those are the two that I wanted to mention just to get a pop out of you.
Job well done, sir. You got it. All right. Then the last thing I got out of our usual agenda here: top five champions to hold the belt, and mine it's pretty simple. 1 through 5. Taz, Mike Awesome. I put Just Incredible at number 3 because he had a longish reign compared to some of the other guys that hold that belt. Then Carino, and then actually I put CM Punk at number 5 for my top 5.
Okay. Mine is pretty similar. I'm going to bump Taz down to 2 and put Shane Douglas at 1.
Now I would have, but he didn't hold the belt for very long. If this was the previous belt, bar none, Shane Douglas all the way.
Yes, yes, yes. But never
But
mind then.
I can never agree with. I'll never
I'll
argue
leave
with
the list
Shane
the
at number
same.
1 on anything.
Exactly. I'll leave the list the same then. I'm sorry.
No apology. There's no wrong answers here. Uh, I'm just going to offer my 2 cents here and there. Please continue.
Right. Honorable mention Mark Henry.
Okay. Yeah, because he had a fairly long reign with it.
Yeah, he
Uh,
did. And then he was under the tutelage of Tony Atlas, so that's always great.
Tony, stay away from my wife's feet, Atlas.
Right now, stay away from them. Hey, Mark, come on, Mark, get there, Mark,
Oh,
Mark.
look, I was a fan of Tony Atlas when he was in the ring. I couldn't figure out why they had him managing Mark Henry. Mark Henry could do plenty.
Do plenty
Why
by
not dust
himself,
off Teddy?
exactly.
Why not dust off Teddy Long and put him back in there as
There
Mark
you
Henry's
go,
manager?
player, and you're gonna believe it. I got Mark
Holla,
Henry.
holla,
He is
holla.
the holla, and he is the ECW World Champion. And tonight he will go 1-on-1 with the Undertaker.
In a tag team match. Wait, what?
Oh man, see, I told you this one. I told you we would have fun with this one right here.
Oh yeah. And I love Teddy Long, so we gotta have a little fun with Teddy. Uh,
Definitely.
yeah. All right. So we got to discuss our next episode, Bari, because I got to pick this one, so I think it's only fair you get to pick the next one we talk about. So I'm gonna put you
All
on the
right.
spot.
You gonna put me on the spot like that?
Put,
Well,
putting you on the spot.
I had a couple of suggestions, but then I narrowed down to how about we do the Intercontinental Championship from 87 to 98.
I like it. I love that belt.
All right.
All right, I am down for it. I do not have that belt, so I will not have
I,
it on display behind me. But
Me either. Right. That's actually a dream bit of mine to get to find.
oh,
I
me
don't
too.
want I don't want the scratch logo. I need block
No,
logo.
and I don't want the. And I wouldn't mind getting the round plate version with the purple strap that immediately followed this one. But that one was the best one. The not the Brasso belt. I'm clarifying, not the Macho Man Brasso. You're talking the dual plated Honky Tonk Man Warrior Perfect belt.
Exactly. That belt.
All right, yeah,
Yes.
I was hoping you meant it. Yeah, because we could do the Brasso belt. That'd be a short one because it was just 4 guys held it. It was just Tito, Savage, Seaboat, and Honky.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, but yeah, that one's a cautionary tale, folks. If you have belts, don't try to use Brasso to polish them.
Please don't. Right. I'll never put Brasso on you.
No, no. Even though this has 2 millimeter plates, I would never Brasso that one either.
No, no, no.
All right, so it's settled. We will be covering the 88 to 98 Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship on the next episode, hopefully in 2 weeks. If not, we just kind of fly by the seat of our pants. Let's pay some bills real quick, Barry, before we head out of here.
All right.
Uh, JTR Podcast Network merchandise, prowrestlingtees.com/JTR Pod there. There you can see a few of them from Jumping the Rail Podcast, 01 Shootout. Uh, we got Florida Tony fast food booking here in the yellow. I like that. Got our bump card shirt. I know for a fact Minders bought both of these yesterday, Bari. The along with a couple others. She was taking advantage of that promo code that expired at noon today.
Right.
So yeah, you got some good stuff, and that's just the tip of the iceberg on PWTs. There's plenty more on there to go check out. brainbustertees.com/other/JTR-podcast-network. There's some of ours also, and you might notice down in the bottom we finally have a Gold Rush T-shirt, Bari. I showed this to you before we went on, but
Yeah.
give you a closer look. There you go. We call them
We call
belts
them belts.
because we do. They'll always be
Exactly.
belts to me, Bari.
Damn
And
right they will be.
yes, so that is our first official Gold Rush T-shirt. Go to brainbustertees.com, check that out. Or if you want to become a version of another knockoff New World Order, there you go. For jumping the rail, same
I've got
deal.
to have one of
Pretty,
those in red and black. Yeah.
yep. Also, those are also available in tank tops and long sleeve T-shirts also.
Sweet.
So that's the stuff we've got merchandise wise for our little network here. Uh, like we said, hopefully it'll be in 2 weeks. If not, it is what it is. It's we're kind of a servant to our own schedules at this point, Bari. It kind of depends.
Pretty much. Yeah, I know we got a
Or
couple of right. We got a couple of indie wrestling shows coming up these next couple of weekends too. So yeah, we'll just try
yeah,
to squeeze in
oh
what
yeah.
we can.
Maybe I can talk uh, David Cavazos into letting us do an episode on that NW Midwest title and do it live with the belt there.
Yeah,
That
that'd be
might be something we
cool.
have to ask Victor Analog because he is the guy holding the title at this point.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll think of some cool stuff to do with this little show. I know we're talking about doing something at the expo next year because I think we're both planning on buying one or two belts there.
Definitely. I already saved up money now.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. But I think that might be a good time to call this one a show, Bari. You got anything you want to add before we say goodbye here?
No, man. It was a great show, and I appreciate those that listen in and that follow us on
Yeah,
all the major platforms and
yeah,
keep following. It's a
yeah.
good
Like I
time.
said, you can find this, and this is our YouTube exclusive, but sometimes we'll throw it on Facebook. We got on Facebook Live and the Gold Rush Facebook page also. And yeah, you go check it out. I think we get more viewers after the fact, but I mean, Friday nights at 6 o'clock is kind of a weird time to watch a live feed.
Exactly. Or I said there's a street fest going on outside my
Oh
apartment
wow.
right now, so I can
Oh
hear
wow.
the band through my
Okay.
headphones
Oh wow. All right. But yeah, this was a fun one. Like we said, we love ECW, and we can talk about ECW all day,
all day.
and we will. And we're gonna be covering that previous World Heavyweight title at some point, uh, the Shane Douglas belt, on a future episode. But I think we will put this one in the books. So thanks everybody for watching. For Bari, this is Reb. Reminding you all, life is hard, work stiff, and we will see you next time.
Peace out.